I think I've seen some documentaries on those people who have a complete photographic memory from their entire life. You could ask them, where were you 20 years ago at this exact time, and they'll be able to tell you, I was eating this, and I was up to, this is what I had left. This is what I had left on my plate during this meal. Like that specific. I was actually reading that. It's interesting. What's going on there? They don't have some sort of super memory power, right? They have the exact same brain capacity as everyone else, but the mechanism in their brain that makes them forget is actually damaged.
So forgetting is like a survival
It's almost
instinct.
like what they said was they've forgotten how to forget, which is interesting. Yeah, as you said, forgetting is it's almost to help you
take in new information.
Yeah, exactly.
So forgetting, it's like
not become clouded with
put
all
it this way.
Yeah.
Imagine your desktop, right? And everything every document you opened, every website you went on, like started to clutter up your desktop, right? Call your desktop your short-term memory. Some of the things on your short-term memory are important to you. Keep clicking on them. Okay, I'm going to save this to my hard drive. That becomes your long-term memory. But every now and again, you don't need all that short-term memory. You clean up your desktop. So that's kind of how the brain works, in a sense that it doesn't need all the stuff that you've come in contact with everywhere, because if you needed it more, you would access it more. You'd access that brain state more, and it would slowly, that neuropath, because every single thing you do fires off a very specific neuropath, whether it's a neuropath or a neuronet. If it's a more complex task, then it would fire up more parts of the brain. So the more you access it, the stronger that neuronet gets, and it starts making other connections. It's like really organic in the way that it just spreads out and reinforces itself. But if something is something fleeting, like someone will say something to you, or you hear a joke, well, you don't need it if you don't necessarily go over that joke over and over again. Well, then your brain simply that neuropath that had fired, or that memory just fades away, never to be. And in some instances, you could never remember it again. But it's still I think it's amazing that you can still recall something. Have you ever had someone's reminded you of something you haven't had a thought? You haven't thought about it.
Hasn't been fully deleted.
Like,
it's like a recovery file in there.
Exactly.
At the time, I often find this with music, right? Especially like lyrics of songs that I haven't heard in 10, 15 years. And I hear it, and I can sing along first shot. I know it so well, and that's because when I originally knew that song, I did rehearse it often. I did give it the time to put it into my long term memory. I haven't rehearsed it since then, but it's still in there somewhere. I did make the jump
so at
from
some
short
stage.
term.
It did.
I made the jump from short term to
long-term.
long term, but I haven't rehearsed it since then, so it's still in there.
But I suppose if I gave you a 10-digit number. And then told you another 10-digit number, then the first series would be gone forever.
Yeah, exactly. Because I could go over that one 10-digit number, similar to a phone number.
But you can keep going over it, like a phone number, exactly.
And remember
and eventually you remember it, and you'd never forget it,
Yeah.
But if you would give me two at once, no, I'd lose the first one.
Yeah, so memory, but it's not really by choice sometimes. That's how amazing the brain is. Some memories it'll pick for you. If a memory has a dramatic emotional connection to something happen. If your body feels something so intensely with a memory, then that might sit around longer and stuff. Who knows? We're on the cusp of making these understandings about memory and stuff like that. It's an exciting time.
Well, neuroscience is still a very young field. Where it's up to now, it's still beginning. They're only really beginning to understand all of the inner workings of the brain. And once they do that, once they understand all of the connections that are made in the brain, then the possibilities are endless.